PM searches for a replica of Greg Christie for special prosecutor job. Water agency under fire at PAC. And the city without a plan. As Parliament begins debate on the special prosecutor bill, Prime Minister Bruce Golding says the person he wants to fill the position of special prosecutor should approach his job with grit, like Contractor General Greg Christie. Golding's comments were made on February 2, a day after he brushed aside Christie's proposal to halt the sale of the Sanders White House Hotel in Westmoreland. In a 22-page letter to the Prime Minister, Christie had recommended that the sale of the hotel to the Gordon Booth Stewart-led Gore Stew Limited should be halted. He cited serious alleged irregularities and impropriety in the proposed sale. Opening the debate on the bill in Parliament, the Prime Minister said, "I would like to see somebody emerge in this job who approaches his job with the ferocity and the seriousness of the current Contractor General." The special prosecutor will be invested with the legislative powers to investigate and prosecute corrupt conduct of public officials, parliamentarians, and private persons. On January 14, the Senate passed the bill with 49 amendments. Golding told his fellow lawmakers that although he does not always agree with Christie, he admires his serious approach to the job. The special prosecutor law will repeal the Corruption Prevention and the Parliament Integrity of Members Acts and establish the office as a commission of Parliament. If the bill gets the nod from the House, parliamentarians, police, and other public officials found guilty of unlawful enrichment could face long jail time and massive fines. A breach of the law could attract fines of $5 million or 5 years imprisonment. If the case is tried in a circuit court, convicted persons could serve a term not exceeding 10 years. In a related matter, the Prime Minister says he is pondering Christie's call for a merger of several anti-corruption bodies to create one national agency. This agency would investigate and prosecute persons for corruption. Executives of the National Water Commission were in the hot seat in Parliament on February 1 when they faced a volley of questions from Parliament's hard-hitting Public Accounts Committee, the PAC. The PAC was informed that 1,400 employees and 200 pensioners of the NWC had racked up $8.5 million in unpaid water bills, despite receiving the first 9,000 gallons of water free of cost from the agency. The 1,400 employees at the NWC who are in arrears represent 66% of the 2,100 people employed to the agency. At the same time, the top brass at the Commission told the PAC that some 100,000 customers of the company have been disconnected for unpaid sums. Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis says an examination of the staff accounts at the NWC showed the sums owed by workers and pensioners of the Commission. She says the amount represents water billings in excess of the 9,000-gallon allowance given to staff and NWC pensioners each month. Communications manager at the NWC, Charles Buchanan, says the average family of 4 uses 4,000 to 6,000 gallons of water per month. NWC acting president Albert Gordon says the delinquent employees have been asked to clear up outstanding balances. Gordon says some members of staff are disputing their bills. He says the Commission is considering deducting the sums owed from the salaries of employees. And the legal officer at the NWC, Kevin Williams, told the committee that the 9,000-gallon concession for employees was handed down in an Industrial Disputes Tribunal IDT ruling some 20 years ago. When PAC members asked for a copy of the IDT ruling, NWC officials could not produce the document. Jennifer Hibbert, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Water and Housing, says the benefit given to the NWC workers is set out in policy. University of the West Indies professor Anthony Clayton has described the development orders for Kingston and St. as a nightmare. Clayton called the voluminous document a city plan without a plan. The UWI professor of Caribbean Sustainable Development was making a presentation to Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee on February 2. Professor Clayton contends that the document lacked vision of the kind of city that was envisioned in the next 20 years. He says serious thought should be given to the type of transport infrastructure that would be needed, the types of jobs that people would be doing, and the question of where people would live. Professor Clayton says these critical areas should be addressed in new development orders. Steps are now being made to promulgate a new development order for Kingston and St. The National Environment and Planning Agency is overseeing the process. The agency says the new development order will help with city planning and promote smart growth of a compact city. Strident calls from two legislators for an amendment to a statute to make security guards employees as against independent contractors rang hollow in Parliament on Tuesday. This is because the amendment for which the parliamentarians were agitating had been done by Parliament almost 9 years ago. Member of Parliament MP for West Central St. James, Clive Mullings, and his colleague from Eastern St. Thomas, Dr. Fenton Ferguson, argued that the designation of security guards as independent contractors is unfair. According to Mullings, it is unjust and must be changed, while Ferguson said it had created hardship and problems for a significant sector of the workforce. The Senate passed the amendment recognizing security guards as workers in March 2002. The House amended the law in the same month. President of the National Workers' Union, Vincent Morrison, told the Gleaner that the call was redundant. This has been another edition of the Parliament Report. Thanks for logging on. Until next time, I'm Edmond Campbell. Walk good.